Hello, friends, and welcome back to r/ProRevenge. Today we have a brand new set of great stories for you to enjoy. Here we go. Try to pin me for illegal deductions? That's a paddling. This occurred about 3 years ago. I shut down my framing company to pursue a job as a site supervisor for the development I'd been building in. Started with the builder after I'd built the last house and managed to get 3 out of my 4 guys a job with the builder, so they wouldn't be affected by my decision. The 4th guy was a piece of crap who I never fired because his work ethic was awesome, but he had a terrible attitude, bad habits, and was wildly hated by the rest of the crew. He was only there because he made me money. Sorry. First couple months go well. My 3 guys have settled into doing more than just framing, though they were not enthused about certain tasks, but who really likes working in a muddy hole or highly physical labor tasks? My guys were always dirty. Always wore crappy clothes to work, as did I. Who wants to destroy a nice pair of jeans or a new clean white t-shirt by getting it stained or torn? So our professional look left a little to be desired. After a while, the owner thought our mishmash of a crew needed some cleaning up. I've always subscribed to the analogy, gotta crack an egg to make an omelet. So I wasn't personally concerned about our outward appearances. Our work should speak for itself. I'd saved the builder $9 per square foot per house, and I could see he was happy about that. Under my direction, the rest of the trades had increased the quality without any incurred cost, and our houses just looked better than competitors during construction. I get called into a meeting halfway through the week, and the owner says, "I'm tired of you guys looking like no one owns you. Your work attire should reflect the quality of homes we're building. Here's a bunch of uniforms. Enough so everyone has one to wear every day, and an extra in case you work Saturdays." I said, "Hey, boss man, that's a great idea. It'll make my guys feel more included and happier. You've even embroidered their names on everything. That's super cool." My guys were ecstatic. New shirts, pants, steel-toed boots, steel-toed cold weather rubber boots, jackets, hard hats, high-vis vests, you name it. All name brand, high-quality stuff supplied by the company. It was Christmas in July. Until they got their paycheck. Each guy, including me, was deducted $1,357 for uniforms. My lowest guy got paid $15 an hour. He owed the company money. Next guy made $3.16. Highest paid guy, a cool $57. Me? Well, I received my check less my uniform deduction for a little over $2,500. I made more money building for him than I did managing his site. I was effing furious. This is where the revenge comes in. I paid my guys for their deducted wage, then did some research. Guess what? Where I'm from, if you require an employee to wear a certain uniform, you cannot pass that cost off to the employee. It's to be supplied free of charge to the worker. This was also around the time I'd been using my personal accounts at suppliers for odds and ends. I called for a meeting, printed out the Labor Standards Act, highlighting the pertinent areas, and explained to the boss, not only was it illegal, what they did almost cost my guys their homes. If I hadn't stepped up, they would have been evicted. Child support wouldn't have been paid, and it could have been a lot worse. My boss took this all in and said, "It's not mandatory. That's why you guys have to foot the bill." I said, "Okay, boss man. My guys can't afford to drop $1,357 on work clothes, so I'll have everything returned. Most of it's never been worn. You can return what's still new, and I'll pay the difference." We all went back to work, wearing torn jeans, ripped shirts, and stained jackets. Problem solved, right? Nope. I was fired 2 days later. Since they were my guys, that meant them too. So rather than tell the guys what happened, I told them to roll up all my tools and anything I'd paid for, take Friday off, and I'll let everyone know what's going on over the weekend. Started back up framing that Monday for the competing builder. But that's not where it ends. I filed a complaint with the labor standards, filed a builder's lien on the 15 properties I'd been managing for unpaid expenses, and waited. When he refused to acknowledge the claim against him, I escalated to lien his personal home. I'd done about $25,000 worth of work to his home, which was to be paid after the sale, plus an extra 10% for waiting. That really got his attention, as his house was sold pending the closing of the buyer's own property. The lien made it so he can't sell without paying me out first. I ignored all calls except from his lawyer, and he essentially shut down business and blames me for doing so. Long story short, I got my money, but to this day refuse his $25,000 payment as it lacks the 10% plus 3% per month late charge. He could sell his house, but he refuses to pay me out. Owes me about $56,000. F that guy. And our next story. How a simple apartment move-out turned into a total cluster F. Had a great job. Boss was fired, they scammed me, fell on hard times, nobody's fault but my own. Had to rent an apartment for a very long, ugly year. Got a huge, pretty new apartment for about $1,000, but had to meet income requirements, which sadly I did. Right before move-in, I found out the garage and water aren't included, and it'll cost extra, and that my 1-year lease is actually 5 months. Too late now. Fine. Then I find out I'm not allowed to use my own washer and dryer, but have to pay $100 a month for theirs. $100 a month. Okay, fine, whatever. Turns out this was all to plan. This is how they get you. From move-in on, things are bad. Roaches in the kitchen, everything falling apart, and despite being a very new building, the walls are paper thin. Turns out he's an unabashed new era slumlord. He gets massive tax credits for renting to low-income people, but there's no requirement to actually rent them to us for cheap. Just that we're there. 5 months ends, I get my lease renewal, the $1,000 jumps to $1,450, which is way above market for this place or any place in the area. I sign for another 6 months, but start planning to move out. I start hearing from all the neighbors that I'll never get the deposit back, and it makes sense considering what scummy dirtbags these people are. I make friends with everyone in the office, keep my place clean, and stay out of trouble. Move-out time comes. Everything is left perfect, and I not only take pictures, but a 10-minute room-by-room walkthrough on video. Literally nothing is out of place. No damage, no mess, nothing. Move-in ready. Get the letter, and my $500 deposit is gone. Plus, I need to pay them another $275 for the damages. Here we go. I tell him I documented everything. There's nothing to bill me for and demand a receipt. He sends over a handwritten, illegible invoice for a company with a name that can't be found on Google and no contact information. I was prepared for this. I launched a website about the apartment complex and pre-stocked it with about 50 articles detailing in 100% truthful ways how they are dishonest and unscrupulous. I used screen grabs from their website where it said you could use the cabana even though you couldn't, that there was a media room for parties, but no sign-up and no way to use it. I showed tenant reviews on websites dating back years even before I was there, and I kept on negotiating. First, he waived the $275 premium, but no way, man, I wanted my $500 back, and I was just bitter enough to get it. Meanwhile, because of my new job, SEO at the time, I was able to outrank him in searches for his own apartment building. If you Googled it during your apartment search, you found my site about how evil it is at number 1, not his official site at about number 4. We talked on the phone, and while he was still unaware of the site, rolling out a new article every day, he set the final offer at keeping $300. I told him I need all of it, and that was that. Anything less would be cause for continued action, and I knew he didn't know what I was inferring by that. He mailed the $200 check, but still didn't know about my site. Well, we'll have to fix that. Called a former neighbor who told them the dish. She was a busybody, and sure enough, 2 days later, I got a furious call, not from the manager, but from the owner. This guy owns a dozen properties like this, each with 300 to 500 units, and now I'm wasting his time personally. Well, this is getting tasty. I explained what happened, but he already knew, and at this point, 30 articles had run, some of which were picked up by other websites, which I may or may not have been a contributing editor to at the time. I never lied. I never exaggerated. I just reported the honest truth. No legally actionable problems on the horizon. He said, "Look, I'll give you $300, just take this down." I explained I couldn't do it. They had the opportunity to do the right thing before the site went up, but to take it down now would be tantamount to extortion, and that'd be illegal. Over the next week, with another 7 articles dropping like clockwork, he tried 10 different ways to goad me into extorting him, but I just wasn't interested. Nope, he drew the line in the sand. I was just staying on my side of it, legally, if not morally. Ultimately, he decided that since I was so good at web stuff, he should hire me for $1,000 to do some promotion for him. I said, okay, but you know this is totally separate from my site and our disagreement, and he agreed. I met him at his office, we worked up a plan. I did about 30 minutes of work, and he cut me a check for $1,000. So what did I do with the website? Well, I certainly didn't take it down. What? We agreed that was separate. But I didn't add any new content and turned off the auto-renewal, so 10-ish months later it faded away. Fair is fair, right? I could list for you dozens of ways they were shady as F, but this is already too long. There's no visible karma score out in the real world, but you have to have one in your heart. And our next story, Whistle Baby. My ex-boyfriend used to work as a dog trainer in his free time and vacation period while we were in college. The week after Christmas, one of the most spoiled, misogynistic, and obnoxious guys my ex had ever met in his life came to the training center, demanding they teach his new purebred Dalmatian puppy the basic course. He boasted off on how the dog would become a champion in no time once he grew up. The guy was extremely rude during the whole inscription process and treated the employees like trash. When he saw my ex-coworker, an 18-year-old girl, he wolf whistled at her. That two-note whistle you use for someone sexy? He called her Mama Rica, Spanish for hot mama. She ran into hiding, but they couldn't do more as this was a high-paying customer, and confronting him and losing the sale would have gotten them into trouble with their boss. On top of being a rude a-hole, the guy just left the puppy in the center for almost 2 weeks straight and paid the training and hotel beforehand, ignoring the fact that it's always recommended that the owner stays during the lessons. Thanks to his D-bag behavior, my ex decided to give him a little payback and offered himself to train the little dog during the whole stay. He did it perfectly, and by the norm. Nothing wrong in there, but added a little surprise for the owner. When the guy came back, my ex showed him the whistle he'd used for calling the puppy from far away. It was the wolf whistle. The man was furious and tried using other sounds, but once a puppy learns a command, it's almost impossible for him to relearn it. He was stuck with a $2,000 dog who'll only come when he wolf whistled at him. Something really interesting to see on a competition or even out in a public park, to say the least. He obviously filed a complaint against my ex, but the damage was done. My ex just got a warning, and don't worry for the puppy, the guy kept him and still used the center's hotel from time to time. But as far as my ex knew, the little guy was not entered into any professional contests, and even after 6 months, he still answered only to the wolf whistle. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one.